Now, Honda Civics can be great little cars, but there's a few things you need to know. I'm going to show you in this 2016 Civic that my customer just bought used. Now, this is just a plain Civic, which in this case is a good thing, because if you bought the fancier version in this year, you might have problems. Being the base model, it's got the base engine. And as you can see here, it's an Earthdreams engine. As you can also see up here, a 2-liter engine. So this is a non-turbocharged 2-liter, puts out decent horsepower, puts out 158 horsepower. That's plenty enough to zoom this little Civic around. If it was the fancier, upgraded Civic, it would have the 1.5-liter Earthdream engines with the turbocharger, puts out 174 horsepower. More horsepower, but that 1.5 turbo engine is the one that has the problems with oil dilution. The turbocharger, in conjunction with the GDI, blowing gasoline into the engine oil, dilutes it and can cause engine problems. So in this case, buying a cheaper, lower-end Civic with the non-turbo 2-liter engine, even though you have less horsepower, going to last longer. These do not have oil dilution problems. Now, I doubt if my customer knew any of this in the first place, but if he didn't know, hey, he pulled the old slot machine and hit a jackpot on this one. And in this case, it's not just the engine, it's the transmission too. This has the CVT transmission. Now, the previous year Civics, they had problems with the CVT transmission. The 2014 to 15 Honda Civics and Fits, in their CVT transmissions, that seems it's a bit weak, it could break. They did have a fix, which is a software reprogramming to put less strain on it. I mean, really, they should have replaced the shafts, but then they would have had to rebuild all the transmission. There's no way they're going to go through all that hassle. They did the old software fix. This is 2016. They don't have that problem, which goes to show that even with a car as well built as a Honda, it's best to do some serious research on a car before you buy it. That's the advantage of buying a used car. This thing is what? It's 4 years old, so there's history. Buy a brand new car, no history yet, nobody knows. On this, hey, you can learn about the history. Now, Honda, being a very good engineering company, they fixed the problem with the CVTs in these newer ones. I haven't seen any problem, haven't read any problems with them. They saw a problem and they fixed it. But if you were stuck with the one that had the problem earlier, say you bought a 2015 in 2015, you get the software update fix, but hey, this one's got the real fix. Obviously, they're building the shafts better on the newer ones. They learned from their mistakes. Now, if this had been the turbo version, I wouldn't have told them to buy it. I would have said, don't buy it. They have oil dilution problems. Or if it had been a 2014 or 15, I would have checked the CVT transmission. I would have said, I don't really advise buying this particular car because the CV transmission had these shaft problems. But this has neither. You're only going to learn that with a little research, or of course, just by watching my videos and asking me. I'll tell you the truth, I got nothing to hide. I don't make them, I just fix them. Now, going back to this 2016 that my customer just bought, these 2-liter engines are virtually indestructible as long as you change the oil and filter regularly. I'd use full synthetic oil and I'd change it every 5,000 miles. I wouldn't go 10. Oil's cheap, engine costs a lot of money. These are well-made engines, can last a really long time. Don't chance it to save a few bucks. Overall, it's a nice looking car. It's a 4-door, got plenty of room for people. Now, as we can see when we go around the car, this is an economy car, and one of the hubcaps has gone very unsightly. He definitely needs one of those. But they are pretty good looking hubcaps. Those are just steel wheels with nice looking hubcaps. As you can see, there's the steel wheel without a hubcap. Little car, but it's got a decent trunk. Quite a bit of space in it. Of course, when you flop the seats down, you got even more room. And for a small car, it's got a reasonable amount of space in the back seat. This is the economy version. It's got the cloth seats. It's not leather or anything, but these are nice looking seats. And from my experience, these things hold up a really long time. Just clean them with any kind of cloth cleaning material every once in a while. And when we go inside, we can see it's nicely appointed for an economy car. The black and chrome is really nice for an economy car. You know, you really can't argue that. Got a little stripey on her seats here to make it look a little bit racy. And of course, it's a Honda, so you turn the key. Starts right up. It's got a decent digital dash. Looks cool. It's got a little bitty console in the middle. Nothing fancy. You can upgrade it if you want. Now, the only thing these really have problem with, sometimes the electronic parking brakes get a little bit squirrely on them. I'm not a fan of electronic parking brakes, but that isn't a reason I'd get rid of a car. And for gas mileage, of course, it's got the old economy button, so you can get better gas mileage. You have a little green on. Oh, you want to drive faster? Turn it off and drive faster. Typical Honda. Freezing cold AC. And it is fun to drive, so we'll take it for a drive. And of course, they all got backup light cameras on them these days. And interestingly enough, I've never seen a backup camera break on a Honda. They're pretty reliable. Now there's nobody around here, so we'll give it a little gas, see how it goes. Not a race car, but it's got decent acceleration. And it really does handle tightly. Handling is a breeze, nice little steering wheel, corner's good. You're gonna feel bumps. It's a Honda Civic, you know? It's not Rolls Royce by any stretch of the imagination. But it does handle quite well. And truthfully, it's a lot smoother riding than the Civic R, which is a race car. And truthfully, it does have very comfortable seats. They are comfy. Plus, they've really seemed to have perfected the CVT transmission in these. Like I said, the earlier ones had chaff problems. This one, no. It's got 50,000 miles on it, still shifts like a dream. And if you do want to drive fast, it's no slouch. This thing has a top end of 125 miles an hour. It's got some zip to it. I just personally find it kind of ironic that the base model has the bigger engine. This has the 2-liter engine, but the fancy one has the 1.5 turbo engine that, like I say, had oil dilution problems. In this case, you're better off with the lower priced one than the higher priced one, which often isn't the case these days. So this 2016 used, hey, this guy picked a gem to buy for a used car. But it does need that rear hubcap. That kind of sets the whole thing off wrong. So now you know the truth about a 2016 Honda Civic base model, so you can make a wise choice. Always do a little research like I do before you buy any car. Now, over the past 41 years, Americans have bought more than 13 million Honda Accords. So there's definitely something behind them. And as I've talked about before, Honda makes great engines. This little 4-cylinder engine can run forever. Honda is the #1 manufacturer of internal combustion engines in the world. They make very good engines. This particular one's made it to a 5-speed automatic. And I know I've warned people about Honda automatic transmissions having problems in the past. This particular one, the 2012, it's a 5-speed automatic. It's got good response, and on the highway, like I said, when it's up into 5th gear, you can get 34, 35 miles a gallon. And yeah, it's zippy. In town, you're only going to get about 22 miles a gallon because it sacrifices gas mileage in town for really zippy acceleration. Now, if you were thinking about purchasing an Accord, either used or new, my advice, stick to the 4-cylinder engine. It's got plenty of power, plenty of zip, but if you're a speed demon, go ahead and buy the V6. It's got a lot more horsepower. Honda makes very good V6 engines too, but of course you're going to get worse fuel economy. There's twice as many moving parts in a V6 as there is in a straight 4. So as they do age, repairs are going to be more expensive on a V6 than on a 4-cylinder. Now, just like their competitors, Camry, they got a lot of room in them. They're a little bit sportier inside. The back's got plenty of room, as does the trunk. It goes and goes and goes. It's even got that cute little portal so you can get inside. In case you just have to get something for the kids in the back, open it up and there's the trunk. Whee! Overall, it's a very well thought out car. And just like the Toyota Camry, hey, they start every time. And when you put them in gear, they're pretty quiet cars. You know, this one's dirty. I have to say they're more stylish than the Camrys are. And if you really want a sports sedan, get one with a standard transmission. And since they sold so many millions of them here in the United States, aftermarket parts of good quality are also available. Parts don't cost a fortune to fix these things if they do break down. You can get radiators, air conditioning compressors, starters, lots of quality parts at a reasonable price, far away from the Honda dealer, because there's a lot of them out there, millions and millions. A lot of people still own them for decades, hundreds and hundreds of thousands of miles. So there's a really good aftermarket for them. I've had dozens of customers with Honda Accords, and I never had one of those customers end up saying, oh, that was a lemon. They were all either extremely happy with the car or satisfied with the quality of what they got for what they paid. And as you can see, when you step on the gas, they get up and go. If I wanted a fast-driving cornering car, I'd prefer an Accord to a Camry. And yes, as I mentioned before, Honda's had problems over the years with their automatic transmissions. But realize Honda designs its own transmissions. They almost always perfect their imperfections. They don't throw the baby out with the bathwater like, say, Chrysler Fiat. Chrysler, they're always trying different transmissions in their car. Somebody makes it, then another company makes it, then another company makes it, and then yet another company makes their transmission. Just keep throwing the designs away and say, oh, let's try this new one. And then you got problems. New technology generally always has faults. And yes, Honda's had some problems with oil dilution in their modern turbocharged GDI gasoline engines. Seeing how Hondas work, I'm sure they'll figure that out and they won't have it in the future. There I blame a modern trend of all manufacturers going to smaller and smaller engines, putting gasoline direct engine, throwing a turbocharger on to get a lot of power out of a tiny engine. Yes, they're going to wear out faster. Yes, they're going to have problems like gasoline making it past the piston rings, getting into the oil, diluting it, and causing excessive engine wear. So in this respect, if you're buying, say, a 2020 Honda Accord, I would say don't buy the 1.5 liter, buy the 2-liter engine. So far, it's had no problems with oil dilution. Realize that sometimes you can go too small. You want a sporty sedan? You don't want to get one with the smallest engine. Hey, a 2-liter engine isn't a gigantic engine, but it's got a lot more power, gonna last longer, and odds are it's gonna have less problems in the long run. So now you know a little bit more about Honda Accords. A long series of sports sedans, and it's pretty much been perfected over time. The Japanese way. You want something that has a nice history behind it. So they upgrade that, but they do it gradually and they rarely have problems. They're a fun vehicle to drive. There's always that fun factor. When you combine fun with reliability, hey, you can't beat that. So if you never want to miss another one of my new car repair videos, remember to ring that bell.